Let's go. Who is ready for some LSU football talk? Let's go, Tasha, Josh. Let's go. Let's go. Look at how great I feel because I got a package in the mail today with this shirt in it with my name on it. And I still don't know who sent it. I believe it was Tony. But anyway, we'll get to that in just a moment. I want to start today with something so fascinating. You know, sometimes we think we know something, but we don't. And it's weird. I was staying up late last night, rewatching the LSU Alabama game from 2019, okay? And I saw something so fascinating. LSU's offensive line was brutally beaten in that game. That is so crazy to me, and we don't talk about it enough. If you go back and look at all the big throws Joe Burrow made in that game, as we welcome in Mario, 3K, Eric, Micah, Tonio, Tasha, a cheeky. Everybody welcome a cheeky. The first live stream a cheeky's been able to come to. Welcome. But you know something so fascinating, guys, and this blows my mind, is that the LSU offensive line really struggled that game. And it made a lot of sense that they struggled because Alabama's front was amazing in 2019. They're amazing every year. But then I went back and watched the Clemson game. And then I went back and watched the Auburn game. And I saw something really fascinating. The LSU offensive line struggled in all of those games. Now, they had some bright moments, but I think this adds to the Joe Burrow mythology. As great as we think Joe Burrow was, he was even better. He was even better. Thanos, I hope you're doing well. Debbie, 75. Josh, 3K is in the building. 3K is always worried about what I'm eating. Every video, 3K is not here for the LSU content. 3K is always like, I just wait till the end to know what's on the plate tonight. And I love that from 3K. So what does that mean? Why would I start talking about the 2019 LSU offensive line? Well, they did win the Joe Moore Award. I do think they were not the best offensive line in college football. They weren't. But I do think they were very good. They weren't bad. They were better in 2019 than what they were in 2020. But the reason why that's relevant is because we consider 2020 to be the season that the LSU offensive line was just bad. When the bottom line is that the LSU offensive line wasn't as great in 2019 as it was in 2020. Okay. Now, why would I start the live stream with that? Well, it's simple. The reason why the LSU offensive line not being a big issue in 2019, well, it's because it was Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow would make all these amazing plays. He would throw the football before the rush even would get there. Go look at the first throw that Joe Burrow made against Alabama for a touchdown. Do you remember this? It was a throw to Jamar Chase. One thing we don't consider is that Joe Burrow looked left, threw to the right in less than 3 seconds, and he still got hit. He still got hit when he delivered the football. And a lot of his big throws, he was getting hit, which is fine. That happens sometimes when you deliver a big throw. That doesn't mean your protection isn't great. But the thing that blew me away when I went back and watched the LSU versus Alabama game for the 7th or 8th time from 2019 was how often This dude made plays when the pass protection would just fall apart. So the reason why that's relevant is that this was a problem in 2019. We just didn't know it because Joe Burrow was so freaking good. And Jamar Chase was so freaking good. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire was so freaking good. And Justin Jefferson was unbelievable. They would get open so quick. They would break so many tackles that it didn't matter. It simply did not matter. And this happened a lot more than we give it credit. So that means LSU's offensive line being bad last year is overblown. Marcus, starting off the live stream with the $50. And look, Marcus always sets me straight when he disagrees with me, and I love it. And Marcus talked about the some transfers. So nice. Marcus, thank you so much. Boog did have an appointment today, as you guys saw on our community page. Thank you so much, Marcus, for your donation. Trey, what's up? Trey was the only person to comment on Booger's haircut earlier. I want you to know that. Trey commented.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, he would have gotten in trouble because his daughter, Trey's daughter, is actually the Booger fan club president. Well, she's the Booger fan club vice president, Trey's daughter. The president is Debbie. Debbie loves Booger more than any of you. But Eric loves Booger as well. But Eric loves Garrett Nussmeier more than Booger.
Get the fresh cut.
So, Kane, yes. Everybody here just wants to know what I... Yes, everyone wants to know just what I eat. And everyone wants to know how's Boog. They don't care about LSU football. You guys aren't even here for the LSU football talk. But anyway, Thanos, thank you for your donation. So my secretary says her cousin, Carrie Vincent, is working out and training daily, and I think to prepare for the draft. Thank you, Debbie, for that insight. Yeah, I was having a private discussion with a former LSU staffer about Carrie Vincent, and I'm very high on Carrie Vincent because he is one of the biggest freak athletes that LSU's ever had. Yeah, but hey,
no, she not.
But she just ate her entire plate of food in like 2 seconds.
So much.
So the reason why I wanted to start today's live stream, for those that are here just for LSU football talk, and some of you are here to see the shirt.
I love it.
I'm still waiting to know which one of you guys sent it. So if you go to my Instagram or Twitter or whatever, you'll see that I did open this package today. It didn't have a sender, and I don't know. Well, actually, we can go on ahead and show Booger because of Marcus, because we always got to wait for $20.
Put my Vizzy.
Just put it right there. But yeah, look.
Well, she's still licking her plate.
She's finishing up her food, and then we'll do that. Josh, you gotta stop making me hungry. Huh? Josh has legit been in the chat since 3 p.m. today. So, Josh, I appreciate your dedication. So, Trey said he's here for the quarterback talk. All right. Thanos, thank you. And I think all of us would agree. And by the way, Marcus, this is your super chat. So, Marcus, whatever you want to talk about, we could talk about. Because Marcus knows so much. Marcus, in our comment section earlier this week, dropped 6 names that we should look out for in the transfer portal for the final slot, and I hadn't heard of any of them. I'm dead serious. I was like, God, I don't know any of these guys. I knew Mike Jones, and the only reason I knew Mike Jones is because he listened when I did ESPN radio in South Carolina.
Okay, Mama.
But look, I am more than happy to talk about the quarterbacks, Trey, because a lot of you want to know if I want Max Johnson or Myles Brennan to be the starter, or could TJ Finley be the starter? We want Boog to. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So here's Boog right here.
I got her.
You got her? Everyone say hi to Boog. This is her new cut.
She's doubled up on her.
Yeah.
sweater.
Well, I just want you guys to know we don't have good heat in our little shack back here. My studio is in the laundry room. There's no heaters. So I'm in the living room set up with the Joe Burrows in the background. What's up, Drew? What's up, Leonard? What's up, Mario? Marcus is on the inside. Yes. So here's the thing.
Okay, she's shaking.
She's shaking. Look, it is very cold in here. I'm not going to lie. That's why I have the hoodie on underneath in here.
if we have too many heaters on, it'll blow a freaking breaker.
So that's the thing. We can't have too many heaters on because our breaker would blow. And the thing is, because our shack has some issues, we had to fasten our breaker box in with a wooden plank. So if the electricity goes out, we are screwed. We're screwed. So we can't put too much heat on or else the breaker would blow and then we wouldn't have a live stream.
But upstairs is toasty.
Upstairs, I'm telling you, upstairs is like a sauna. No, I'm kidding. It's not that hot.
No, it feels great.
But it feels fine. Okay, so thank you, Marcus. Well, here's the funny thing. Jonathan was sending us a heater, and it got lost in the mail. And I told him not to ship it because you guys know how much it is to ship something. So here's the thing. I started the live stream in that unconventional fashion because I don't know. Oh, yes. Let me do that for you, Trey.
I'm going to put her up at it.
That is preferred as well. Let's see. Let's do this. So the reason why I say that is because maybe Myles Brennan can't be the quarterback in this offense. Okay? Maybe he can't because Eric, is it from Tony? I don't know. I could email Tony. Achiki, thank you so much for the super chat. So, Achiki, anything you want to talk about, let us know. But this is my point. Joe Burrow, and look, the only way you can do this, and the only way you could really say this, is actually to go back and watch the games. Go back and watch the games, and this is very hard to do. Go back and Blanco, thank you for the live chat. Thank you so much. So, Achiki, 75 Blanco, anything you want to talk about, let us know. But here's the thing. The LSU offensive line really struggled in 2019 versus three teams in particular: Auburn, Clemson, and Alabama. All three of those fronts, as you guys know, is filled with NFL guys, particularly Auburn's front. Auburn's front was the best. Now, the offensive line was not bad. And it's not that Myles Brennan can't run this offense, because he can. But we've seen a pattern with James Craig's offensive lines with not being able to pick up blitzes and breakdowns in pass protection. And we've seen it in 2 consecutive years. And the problems were a lot worse away from Tiger Stadium than at home. So it is going to be really hard for James Craig to fix these problems this offseason, because this has been 2 years where we've seen that. But as Marcus points out, all 3 of those things require a quarterback who can make checks at the line of scrimmage. But here's the thing about the 2019 LSU offense, and this is very important. What made them so great was that it didn't matter. They trusted Joe Burrow in empty, and for those that don't know, empty is when it's just the quarterback back there. The quarterback's back there and it's 5 wide receivers. That's what empty means. They trusted Joe Burrow even if the blitz came to make blitzers miss. And he was so freaking good at it. So when the 2020 season came around, well, Mississippi State, we had some issues. But here's the problem. Maybe the offensive line that LSU is returning is not the best unit. And it could not be the best unit. Look, there are so many different guys who could be the starters next year. So, Bruce, I agree with you. it's not all James Craig's fault. And sometimes when the blitz comes, there's nothing you can do about it, especially if LSU lines up and trips. So what a lot of teams would do versus 2019 LSU was when LSU would line up in bunch formation close to the line of scrimmage, they would blitz one of the defensive backs. And I defend the LSU offensive line there because it's hard to pick up those guys who come on delayed blitzes untouched. So some of those Alabama plays, and I did a film study on this in the offseason, some of those plays you couldn't do anything about. But there was other plays. I went back, Alabama game, LSU is up by 13. And the funny thing is, oh, look. Thank you, Trey. I appreciate that. Trey's input on the quarterback position is that he just wants good competition in the spring. And I agree. And you're going to get it. It's going to be as competitive of a quarterback battle as we've seen in a long time.
Friday night's coming in hot.
Friday night's coming in hot, baby.
Dang.
So, look, it is so key that LSU gets better at this, that James Craig tells his line, look, we got to get better at making calls. We got to get better at communication. But Alabama was still getting home with just 4 guys. LSU didn't switch up the snap counts. LSU didn't do a good job of passing blocks off. And I know this is a bunch of technical jargon. However, if you are a Myles Brennan defender, this is where things get difficult. Because if you are one of those people that say, well, I want Myles Brennan to be the quarterback. Well, Max Johnson. Oh, for real, Trey? I hope your dog's feeling okay. I didn't know that. But we saw this versus Florida. Max Johnson's ability to run really helped out. It really helped out. Not on the LSU front, because as a lot of you, but the bottom line is that we've got to do a better job of protecting. We simply do. We've got to be better at protecting the quarterback. And I don't know why. I just lost a bunch of viewers. I think I pissed someone off. I'm sorry. What is happening? All right, there we go. I think my people just changed up and down. Okay, there we go. All right. I started freaking out there for a little bit. I don't know what YouTube's doing right now. They've had some issues this week. So I apologize. It froze. Oh, it stopped buffering. Let me know. Did it stop buffering? Let me see. It's good now? Okay, good. So I wanted to get that out first because I am a little worried about pass protection. Yeah, so that was the thing. Let's see. Now my phone's acting up. Legit, my phone just started doing dictation. I didn't even touch it. I'm telling you, there's some creepy things that happen in I call it the shack. So yeah, go ahead and hit the like button. I appreciate that. What's up, Matt Chireno? Welcome, man. Max Johnson should start. He just seems to fit with the offense. However, LSU was a more efficient offense with Myles Brennan. It simply was. Go look at yards per play. LSU had their best yard per play marks in games started with Myles Brennan. Their most yards per play came against South Carolina with TJ Finley. But the problem with TJ Finley, and a lot of people said this about TJ Finley, and look, he very well could be the guy. I don't know. TJ Finley made the back-breaking turnover in nearly every game he started. In other words, pick sixes, fumbles, throwing the football too late. We'll see. I know, Josh, I remember, do people remember Gotta run Carter recording tonight. I'm gonna catch this tomorrow. Okay. But do people remember we had a bunch of we had no conspiracy. This isn't fake news. We had Russian hackers hit our live stream. We had a bunch of like weird Russian text just take over the chat. Bruce, that's interesting. If LSU goes with Max, then Brennan and TJ leave. Brennan because he's an upperclassman and TJ because he's in the same class as Max. If Brennan starts, then they only lose TJ or Max. And look, Ed Orgeron has managed a roster like this before where, you could play certain guys because of the fear of maybe someone transferring or not. So who believes Bruce here? Does anyone agree with Bruce here? If LSU goes with Max, then Brennan and TJ leaves. That's interesting. Mike, you believe that too? How many of you think, okay, let's say this. How many of you think Myles Brennan, Myles Brennan. Let's say Myles Brennan wins or Max Johnson wins the starting job. Do you think Myles Brennan hits the portal? Do you think Myles would for sure hit the portal? This is not Brennan's last year. He still has 2 years of eligibility remaining. Remember, this year didn't count. Hunter. Simeon, I'm actually a big Walker Howard guy. I am. I fear Garrett Nussmeier might be odd man out when Walker Howard comes in. Chris says Myles all day. Debbie says, I think he stays. How many of you, okay, tell me this. How many of you would rather, how many of you prefer Max Johnson over Myles Brennan simply because Max, let's go to this question. How many of you prefer Max Johnson over Myles Brennan simply because Max Johnson has some mobility? How many of you prefer Max Johnson over Myles Brennan simply because of the mobility factor? Arch Manning 2023. His time will come. Marcus says he prefers Brennan at this stage. Interesting. I am shocked. I'm shocked that so many of you are Myles Brennan fans. Myles is more seasoned. Interesting. So is that true? So Myles has 3 starts and Max has 2? Matt Toronto, you're right on. Who has better chemistry with Kayshawn and Coy Moore? I'm not going to lie. If I'm Coy Moore, I'm a little worried about next season because that is a loaded wide receiver room. And if you had to make me choose between Coy Moore and Dre Jenkins as a number 2 guy, I would take Dre just by a little bit. I would, Kareem, I would prefer the better quarterback. That's the thing. We don't know. Kirby says Myles has earned the chance to start. Max and Kayshawn, like Joe and Jets. Well, neither one of them are on that level yet, but I hope you're right. Best thing going for Coy is that he plays the slot. He is a really good slot receiver. I'm a big Jere Jenkins guy. I'm a huge Jere Jenkins guy. So I think Jere Jenkins is going to start next year. And you're right, JJ. Myles does have a lot of experience running the Joe Brady system, or the terminology, if the terminology is the same. Corey says you earn it in camp. You might be right about that, Corey. I really thought Jere had a good season. And, he made a lot of guys miss. There was one catch in particular against Auburn that was really impressive. So that's the thing, Achiki. We had this discussion last week on the live stream, and it got heated because I don't know which one of the 5 receivers is the best out of that bunch. You know what, Marcus? I agree with you. And I think people tend to get carried away that Max Johnson was 2-0. Yes, he was 2-0, and the win is all that matters. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're a better quarterback than the other quarterbacks. Just because Myles Brennan went 1-2 and Max Johnson went 2-0, that doesn't make Max Johnson the better quarterback. It simply doesn't. I thought Max Johnson was really good versus Florida, all things considered. Nothing went his way during the course of that game, and he still made plays, and he still won the game. And that is the best debut quarterback performance you'll ever see from a true freshman quarterback. But the Ole Miss game, even though all those throws to Kayshawn were so great, Max missed a lot of throws in that game. He missed a lot of throws. So now it wasn't that he had a bad game. No, he obviously had a really good game against Ole Miss. And one thing about Max Johnson, and this is a compliment for Liam Shanahan as well, for him to play as well as he did and to have 2 radically different weather changes during the course of the game is very underrated. Going from throwing a dry ball in clear air to throwing a wet ball in a downpour and throwing a moist ball in a fog. None of those players ever played in fog like that because fog like that just doesn't exist. It's so rare. But Alan brings this up as well. Myles got LSU 40-plus points in those losses. Well, look, what was it? 40-plus against Missouri, 40-plus against Vanderbilt. LSU put up 30-plus against Mississippi State, but it was still a good performance. And that was the first performance. It's a lot harder to be good in your first game. And Marcus brings up a good point as well. We tend to forget this, that Myles Brennan's quarterback rating was as good as Mac Jones after just 3 weeks. And now that we know he got injured during the game against Missouri, well, let you know everything. And I believe if Myles Brennan would have still been the quarterback, I think Arik Gilbert is still here as well because, well, that was the only game, the Missouri game, where we saw full Arik Gilbert. JJ, I don't think that's too hot of a take. I think LSU is going to try and work those guys in. But, you say that, Hilton, Smith, Thomas, and Neighbors. But what about Trey Palmer? It's one of those things. I think the LSU offense is going to have some huge issues when it comes to shrinking their personnel. The one thing this would be a big mistake. If Jake Peetz doesn't shrink the personnel, it's going to be an issue. For instance, I was actually doing a video on this week, but I decided to save it. Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. Do you guys, and there's 88, I normally wait and do this a little bit later. Do you guys like me doing deep dive or do you guys like the videos where I'm just talking about the news of the day? I'm dead serious. I want to ask you this question because you're the guys that and gals that consume my content. Would you guys rather the deep dive content or do you rather just the news content? I love doing deep dives. But I wanted to ask this question because I don't want to feel if my videos just get too nerdy. Because I was putting together a Jake Peetz video today, but it involved a lot of numbers. You like both of them? Okay. You like all of it? I think we oscillate well. Take the news and dive into it. You really like deep dives? Okay. So, let me give you a Cliff Notes version of what I saw. So something was pretty interesting about about LSU's offense. This is what I determine as you being a piece of the offense. If you average 2 targets per game, that means you're a piece of the offense. All right. So 2 targets, not catches, targets. Now, how many of you know the difference? And this is going to seem pretty simple, but I want this to be known. How many of you know the difference between targets and catches? All right. How many of you know the difference? A target is when a quarterback throws it to you. A catch is when you actually catch it, a reception. So when you get a reception, you also get a target. But when you get a target, you don't always catch it, right? So I just want this, this base piece of knowledge. So if you averaged 2 targets per game this year, that means you had 20 targets if you played in all 10 games. So this is what was crazy. In the 2019 LSU season, there was only 6 players on the roster who averaged 2 targets per game. Okay? So they played 15 games, 30 targets. There was only 6 LSU Tigers who got 30 targets, right? That's right, Marcus. So, look, LSU this year, if I remember correctly, it's not in front of me. You'll see it when the video is dropped. There was 9 players on LSU's team that had that averaged 2 targets per game. 9 players. Now, some of that obviously is Terrace Marshall opting out and Arik Gilbert, so that opens up more playing time for other people. Racing McMath didn't play at the end of the year, but what I found was even with that factored in, LSU still had 9 different people that got at least 2 targets per game. That got at least 20 targets in 2020. And that doesn't include Trey Palmer, who they were trying to rotate in. So this year, when you factor in all the running backs and the tight ends, but this was interesting. LSU only had 1 running back and only 1 tight end that got 2 targets per game. So there were 7 different wide receivers, okay? 7 different wide receivers averaged 2 targets per game. On the 2019 team, 5. So for comparison, the New Orleans Saints had 8. All right? So that doesn't mean that you can't average 2 targets per game or that you can play more than just a few receivers. But I think we all saw this. In 2019, there were such few players that actually got targets. So what happened in 2019? Well, it wasn't just that Jamar Chase and Terrace Marshall and Justin Jefferson all had these insane years. Guess what happened? LSU's 3 best wide receivers from the year before was who? Well, it was Justin Jefferson, D. Anderson, and Derek Dillon. Their 4th best receiver was Stephon Sullivan. So what Joe Brady and Mickey Joseph did for the 2019 season was essentially 3 of the 4 best wide receivers who were coming back for the 2019 season. LSU said, look, you're not going to play. You can either stay with this or you're gone. Joe Brady limited personnel. And he told those players, look, you guys are all great. You're going to play if one of these guys go down. But the majority of the snaps is going to go to Jamar. It's going to go to Terrace, and it's going to go to Justin Jefferson. And Thad Moss is going to be our tight end. Clyde's going to be our running back. And the rest is history, right? So, a lot of you guys have pointed this out to me. Maybe it's not who plays. Maybe the bigger question is who doesn't play. We might need to shrink the rotation. So, as Marcus points out here, we didn't exactly have anyone other than Terrace Marshall step up until Kayshawn late in the season. So what does that mean? Well, as much as I might like Dre Jenkins, as much as some of you might Coy more, maybe those aren't the best options. The hardest thing to do in college football is not necessarily putting your best product on the field. That might not be the hardest thing. The hardest thing to do is to determine the right people who could put your best product on the field. And that's the dangerous thing. Because what's going to happen, and this happens all the time. If you're Jake Peetz, you walk into a situation, you don't know who your best guys are. You don't. You simply don't. But when you rotate so many different guys, and if you go back and look at LSU throughout this season, there were so many different rotated guys coming in and out. So if you feel confident that Kayshawn is your guy, well, that leaves 2 slots there. Okay? Well, we've already come to a consensus that starting true freshman wide receivers is probably not the best thing, right? So if you start a true freshman wide receiver, well, we've never had a good true freshman wide receiver. Odell was good as a true freshman in 2011, but that's about it. We've never really had a good true freshman wide receiver. Jamar was brought along slowly. Terrace was brought along slowly. They both got over 20 catches as true freshmen, but they didn't start. Kayshawn, we tried to start him, but Mickey Joseph pointed this out in an interview recently that, well, I benched him because there were some things he needed to learn. Early Doucette as a true freshman, was that 2004 when he caught the game-winning touchdown against Arizona State, which should have been ruled a drop? Thank goodness there was no replay then. By the way, I still think that's the greatest LSU throw I've ever seen. That was early Doucette? Marcus, do you know 2004? And that's the hard thing. We don't know who to cut down. I mean, we don't have any film really on Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer, I'm not going to lie, really impressed me versus Ole Miss. His route running, everything. In fact, Max Johnson missed Trey Palmer for a wide open touchdown over the middle because Trey Palmer ran an option route and Max threw it behind him. I bought Early Doucette's rookie card for this week. His rookie card was 59 cents. And to someone else, that is trash, but that is treasure for me. 05. Myles' first game. And here's the thing about Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer's more athletic than Jure and Kole, and I don't think it's that close. Brandon, we're talking about one right now. You know, Trey Palmer was once a 5-star according to Rivals, right? JJ, what's up, man? Are you off work tonight? I hope so. So JJ, this is a thing I've struggled with. Is it as important as getting the right guy quarterback? As that was what was so crazy about 2019. So D. Anderson just didn't want to put in the work apparently, and I don't know if he was kicked off or he just entered the transfer portal. But I'm sure he regrets that decision now. He went to Oklahoma State this year, caught one pass. I don't know, Josh, about Boudin. Oh, you know what? I would say Billy's. It's a gas station on the way to Baton Rouge. Terry, what's good, man? Terry, you're going to say Billy's too? Man, God, Billy's Boudin. You got it. And dude, there's always a line. There's always a line. Eric, what it do? So look, the hardest thing LSU's going to have to do is, JJ says, the types of receivers really align with the quarterback as well. I have concerns with Johnson on the deep ball. That's true. When it comes to throwing a deep ball, Myles Brennan is probably as good as it gets. I mean, he throws a really good deep ball. One thing, when I watch Myles Brennan, he never, in the 3 games that he played, he never faced a good defense. Missouri was his best defense that he faced. In the first game, it was Zach Arnett's first game as a defensive coordinator. Then he had the Vanderbilt game, and Vanderbilt was historically bad defensively. Their defense was worse than ours. Then you had the Missouri game. Brian Walters is an okay defensive coordinator. He took the Illinois job, but I don't think he's great. I don't. I don't know, Brandon. Micah, what's good in Tampa, man? Do you have your Leonard Fournette jersey? Yeah, I agree with you, Kareem. The funny thing about the Florida game was Max Johnson should not have checked down to Kole Taylor. Slinger actually called a really good drive. So the drive before, he got way too conservative. But that drive, when the score was tied, they had a first down rollout to the left, and Coy Moore just dropped it. Then on second down, they had a run. It didn't go anywhere. Then on third down, it would have been a tough throw for a true freshman, but Kayshawn ran a perfect route, sat down in the hole of the zone defense, was wide open, but Max Johnson played very conservatively, which is fine, and he checked down to Kole Taylor, and we didn't get it. What's up, Jared? What's up, Jeffrey? JJ, he'll be fine. Look, his dad is a professional backup. You got to remember, Brad Johnson was a backup for a long time, too. JJ, I'm not going to count TJ Finley out simply because, Joe Burrow made a jump from being the 5th or 6th best quarterback in the SEC to being the best quarterback ever. So anyone can make a radical jump. The problem with TJ, here's my big problem. It's not turning the football over. It's the type of turnovers you make. He threw a lot of pick sixes, and, you simply can't do that. He threw a pick six, a ball that almost was a pick six against South Carolina. Threw one against Auburn, fumbled one against Auburn, threw one against Texas A&M. So, the other quarterback simply didn't do that. Cheeky says, Finley is the future, just needs the right coaching. Maybe, look, TJ is good enough to be a starter at the SEC level. He's good enough to start at most places. I just think he's odd man out here. But I'm not going to write him off either. But as you point out, Cheeky, he should have never even been playing. In fact, Max Johnson shouldn't have ever played. Peter Parrish, should have been the backup. Yeah, I know, 3K. And I think some people did. You shouldn't give up on any quarterback that's still on your roster, especially if our sample size is just true freshmen. If he was a redshirt freshman or a sophomore, then maybe, but true freshman quarterbacks should never play. They should never play. And look, I know some people will point out, but what about Trevor Lawrence? I still believe Trevor Lawrence would have. I'm still, the book is still out for me on Trevor Lawrence. And I just think every true freshman quarterback that plays doesn't get that season of humbling, doesn't get that season of true playbook study. And there's just so much stress being the guy of a program day one. You know what, Marcus? I felt the same way too. So when TJ was announced as the backup, I was told before the season from someone I trust that Max was the better quarterback, but that it wasn't that TJ wasn't any good. They said TJ was legit lighting it up in practice. And let's be honest, if you were to watch both of those quarterbacks while they weren't getting hit, the more impressive looking quarterback is always going to be the one with the bigger arm. And TJ's arm is, NFL strength. He's got a cannon. But it's different when the actual game is moving so fast. And if you're a true freshman, pure pocket quarterback, guess what? Your reads aren't there. You don't have legs to bail you out. Wait, why are we bringing up Aaron Brooks? Mike, I have no news on Elias Ricks. Christian, I do, man. I do. We haven't talked much defense, Brandon. Once again, if you guys want to talk recruiting or whatever, Super Chat is wide open. Venmo, Cashapp is wide open. I don't think TJ and Aaron are all that much alike. Except they are inconsistent. That's about it. It is kind of weird, though, that Jameis has Aaron Brooks' number. Okay, everyone wants to know what I had for dinner. So I made a mistake. I ate before the live stream. Like, I ate right before the live stream. And I had some lo mein noodles, okay, from a little food truck up the road from me. And it was good. It was good. But when you eat something like that and then you're having to talk for an hour, it's like, what's going on? Yeah. Oh, they're inconsistent. Oh, man. Good question, Trey. The D'Angelo guy, okay, so he was a recruiting coordinator, and he finally got moved up to offensive analyst. I love that. You know, there's so many people behind the scenes that are analysts, recruiting assistants, and all those things. D'Angelo's one of those guys. Another guy who does a lot of work, and he's an interesting follow on Twitter. His name is Jeff Martin, and he's one of the recruiting guys. And I heard Jeff is really talented. So, you know, there's so many of these analysts, recruiting coordinator types in the program. Hard to keep up. It's really hard to keep up. Cortez, what it do? Yeah, Bug isn't a freshman. JUCO guys don't count. Trey, he'll just be an analyst, so he won't be like a coach. What I think he'll be like the DJ Mangus of this operation. So, what I mean by that, he's going to play the same role that DJ Mangus played in 2019. Yeah, JJ, down in Shreveport. A cheeky, he's going to have to play. You know, Derek Davis is going to see the field. He's going to see the field. You know, he's going to get a lot of special team snaps. It's going to happen. But bottom line is Derek Davis Jr. Is a really good player. You know, he was the number 3 safety in the country for a reason. I think he's a little bit more of a deep safety than Sage Ryan. I think a lot of people view Sage Ryan as more of a Jamal Adams type of box safety. So we'll see. But yeah, I think Derek Davis is going to play a lot next year. I do. Well, JJ, you should be. It doesn't get better than getting a linebacker who played in a lot of big games for Clemson. So we're not just talking about, you know, crappy ACC schedule. We're talking big games, you know, college football playoff games. So it's wild. Oh, yeah, Trey's all the way up in Washington. Jamie, I've heard that. If he wants to come back, bring him back. I just don't know. You know, Marcel Brooks is interesting because he was the guy that after the Bama game was like leading the recruiting charge. You know, he ran over to the recruits and said, look, come to LSU. after the Bama game. And right when things became uncertain, he was the first one to bolt. And you should, JJ. Mike Jones will be the starter. I would be very shocked if he doesn't start. He's good. He's really good. Very athletic, not a traditional linebacker. So we'll see. More production than Cox, in your opinion? I don't know. That's kind of tough because Jabril played so many snaps. Cox had a pretty good season overall. Now, he would make some mistakes tackling between the tackles, but that was known before he even came to LSU. 3K, I don't know. There's different people that say different levels of severity as far as Myles Brennan's injury. KMC, that's a good question. So, Devonta Bug Strong, we mentioned him a second ago, but, a little bit more of a traditional linebacker. And that's the thing about Mike Jones is that he didn't just play linebacker at the highest level. He played it really well. And look, here's what happened to him at Clemson. Okay, and I don't want this to become too much of a Clemson chat, but a few things happened at Clemson. So they have a linebacker who's the leader of their defense, his name's Skalski. A lot of you may remember he was kicked out of the national championship game because of a targeting call on Justin Jefferson. So he came back, and he's going to come back again for another season. Then Brent Venable's son is also a linebacker on the team, and Mike Jones was the other linebacker. Well, they recruited a 5-star named Trenton Simpson, and Trenton Simpson started to play a lot, and Mike Jones, he still played, but it was pretty clear that Trenton Simpson was going to become the starter. So the reason why Mike Jones entered the portal was because he was uncertain about his future in the defense. Thus, LSU jumping on the opportunity. So Mike Jones didn't ever really lose his starter's job at Clemson. He just wanted a clear route to playing time. And look, LSU's got a talented linebacker room. We haven't mentioned Josh White. We haven't mentioned Antoine Sampa. We haven't mentioned Greg Penn. All decent players, prospects, never seen them play. You still got Baskerville coming back. You still got Clark coming back. But Mike Jones had the highest coverage grade of all defensive backs last year, according to Pro Football Focus, and he's not really even a defensive back. So we'll see. Larry asked about Philip Webb. Philip Webb's a pass rusher. I don't see him as a traditional linebacker, but, we tend to forget this as well. One of LSU's most solid, now he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad either. Kendall Beckwith was really solid, and he made that transition from defensive end to traditional Mike backer. So it's not, it's not something that can't happen, but it could happen. But Philip Webb is not that type of player. Ahmad asked about, and Corey asked about Devonta Lee. I know so many of you want Devonta Lee to work out for a couple of reasons. Number one, he is from A-Meet, and you want guys from A-Meet doing well on LSU. Because obviously A-Meet has been a far more productive school for Alabama. So part of that is, you don't want A-Meet to just be a Bama town. They want to see one of their own play for LSU. And Devonta Lee is certainly talented in a lot of different ways, but he just doesn't have a home. I don't know what position he's the best at. So we'll see. Now, maybe Philip Webb is, and Marcus brings us up, a little bit more of a hybrid defensive end type of player. Maybe he is better suited for it. Well, I'll tell you, he is better suited for a 3-4, but that doesn't mean he's not talented enough to play in this 4-3. I've got a dislike. I can't see the dislikes. Maybe Jones will get creative with Jones. Lots of Jones. Jonesing, baby. Something LSU did a really good job of, and I went, I've gone back to the 2019 team and watched some of the games a little more closely, and someone is can't see the haters. I'd rather have more dislikes because it's gotten to be a little cliche. If you don't say something every now and then that's going to make people a little mad, I mean, I want to push boundaries the best I possibly can. Ahmad, stop. Don't get people fired up. Don't do this. Ahmad, don't do this to me. Don't just randomly, an hour into a fun live stream, just out of nowhere, drop a Jonathan Giles comment. You can't just do that, Ahmad. It was kind of like Cliff, who brought up the 225 is greater than 504 comment. I was like, do you want me to die tonight, Cliff? Lucky enough, Cliff isn't in here. Josh, I've interviewed Nick Saban before, and he was really nice. Talked to him for a good little bit. The Saban. But here's the thing. As an LSU channel, you can't say anything positive about Nick Saban. Even though we may not be where we are today without that guy. Think about that. Think of any other school. How many schools would trade one national championship? Just one. And we've won 4. 4 total, 3 in the modern era. Saban is as dumb as he looks. Oh, man. So Ahmad says, who gets the number 7 this year? Hopefully Eli Ricks. I would love Eli to get it. However, the last 2 defensive backs to get jersey number 7, what does the last, or is that the right way to say it? The last 2 defensive backs to wear number 7, what happened to them? No, we're not doing the area code thing again. No, I'm still mad at Cliff at doing that. Man, it's sorry. And then Shreveport, and then the 337 started getting involved. But no one's answered this question. What's happened the last 2 times a defensive back has gotten the number 7 jersey? Can someone tell me? What has happened? I'm not blaming anything. Yes, a decline. But you're right. Grant Delpit played through injury, and Jacoby just wasn't as good. But Mac, they were both, well, we'll see. Oh, well, Jamar Chase didn't play defensive back. But you'll never, I wouldn't call Jamar Chase a bum either. I wouldn't call the guy that won us the championship versus Clemson a bum. Or the guy, did y'all see the stat today? JJ 2018 Delpit was the truth. 2018 Grant Delpit was insane. 2019 Grant Delpit was beyond insanity. But look. There was some regression, but not something too crazy. Anyway, let's be honest about it. I just turned the TV back on, and Zion has 27 points, 12 of 12 from the field. So good. So freaking good. Oh, Stevens and Delpit were bums? Jacoby was okay last year. He definitely wasn't good, but he was okay. I think, okay, he wasn't a good fit for that defense. And this is why he wasn't a good fit for the defense. We just lost to Florida Gymnastics. That sucks. I'm a big LSU Gymnastics supporter. Dede Bro retired. Oh, you're right, Cortez. No, I'm not saying that they declined because of the number 7 uniform. I'm just saying, you could be. I could be a little superstitious sometimes. But look, there is a huge difference, and this is going to start a fight here. But I just think being a safety, it's kind of hard to describe this in a live stream unless you're like doing a video. But the hardest thing about playing a 4-man front is that I do believe when you're in a 4-man front, a traditional 4-man front, it's a little bit easier pre-snap to see where everyone's going to be. And I think with the 3-man front, Jacoby was able to be just a little bit more aggressive pre-snap. But look, I don't know what happened to Jacoby this past year, but in 2019, he was incredible. I agree with that, Kyle. He should have been the number 18 from the get-go. Jacoby will be a bust in the NFL. That's not true. So what do we know about Jacoby Stevens? Well, we do know he's a good special teamer. Okay? Let's go back to his true freshman season. You remember the DJ Chark punt return against Auburn? Who had the big block on that play? Well, it was a true freshman by the name of Jacoby Stevens. He had a huge block on that play. So he's a good special teamer. And he's willing to do that for the team. And I think he's a linebacker. I don't think he's a safety at the next level. You know what, Ahmad? That's a good point. DJ and Russell Gage, both 3-star recruits, both having fantastic NFL careers. And DJ's going to get Trevor Lawrence next year. And let's be honest, DJ Chark's actually a really good fit for Trevor Lawrence. They do fit really well together. Because Trevor's going to need a guy that can just run past everybody. And while DJ Chark is not Tyreek Hill, he is one of those types of guy. Larry, that's a good question, and it's an easy answer. Chason or Arden Key, who was better? So, Chason was more consistent, and he was more reliable on and off the field. But Arden Key at his peak is the best defensive end to ever play at LSU in the modern era. At his peak. But as you guys know, there was a lot going on with Arden Key injury-wise and some other off-the-field stuff. But, if you factor in leadership and those things, well, Chason was a number 18, and Arden Key was a better overall player, and he had traits. It's harder to Chason was not an elite pass rusher. He just wasn't. But he was a really good athlete. He would give you a good occasional pass rush. He could chase a lot of guys down. And a quarterback had to account for him dropping back into coverage. Would you consider Jarvis Green, Marcus Spears defensive ends or more defensive tackles? Well, yeah, I would consider them more defensive ends. Yeah, so, those two were better. But from a pure edge rushing perspective, in the past decade, Arden Key was the best. He was better than Roscoe, better than Hunter, better than Mingo, better than Montgomery. So, no, you're right. Spears was definitely better, okay? And Jarvis Green was definitely better. What's up?
You okay?
I'm fine.
You cold?
I just wanted one spot. One Oreo. I should not have ate that big a meal before.
Why did you go back?
I don't know. I was starving. I was starving like a Jericho on top of a walrus.
I'm going to turn this oven on again.
Get some heat. So I'm going to let y'all know this. We actually have to turn our oven on right here for some heat.
This some bootleg ass shit.
So, Jared, who was better, Patrick Peterson or Tyrann Mathieu? That's actually pretty easy. That's Patrick Peterson. Just one.
God, it's fucking cold. Are your hands cold? No, you're warm.
I'm warm. I'm trying to stay warm. I'm trying not to think about it. So, actually, the answer to this question is the same.
Why we're going to my parents' house.
The answer to this question is actually very similar to the Arden Key situation. So, Tyrann Mathieu's peak was better than Patrick Peterson's peak because Tyrann Mathieu in 2011 had the greatest defensive season I've ever seen from anyone in the SEC. I'm dead serious. Some would say Patrick Willis and Quinnen Williams, whoever you want to mention. But the greatest single season we've ever seen in the Southeastern Conference was Tyrann Mathieu in 2011. But you got to remember this. We're not talking about peak. We're not talking about peaks. We're talking about the better overall player. So when you're talking about the better overall player, the entire body of work comes into the equation. Patrick Peterson was not only elite as a sophomore, he was elite as a junior. And he was very freaking good as a freshman. So Patrick Peterson went from very good to best cornerback in the SEC as a true sophomore, then best cornerback in the country as a junior. And look, Tyrann Mathieu, his sophomore season, is once again better than anybody, better than any SEC defensive player I've personally ever seen. Ever. Period. Bottom line. But what happened in 2012 is a part of your legacy. And the LSU 2012 team had no chance for elite success in the aftermath of what happened in the national championship game. When the Tyrann Mathieu news broke that he wasn't going to play anymore, the season was done. The season was done. Now, if you were to ask me who I like better, it's still close because I knew Patrick Peterson fairly well in college. There's a photo of he and I on my Twitter page. It's been my header image for like a gazillion years. But I am a Tyrann Mathieu card collector. My favorite Tyrann Mathieu card is currently being graded. I freaking love the Honey Badger, as do all of you. But You got to factor in everything. It's not peak. Now, who had the better season? The Honey Badger. No doubt about it. Because he had the best season ever. But still, Patrick Peterson was in serious Heisman discussion in 2010. Exactly. To Marcus's point, the 2012 team was going to be awful regardless. But it had no chance of being great. Win the greatest defensive player to ever play at LSU. It's Tyrann Mathieu, if you go by just one season. Now, if he would have come back his junior season, there wouldn't really be a discussion. There really wouldn't. But, you know, and some of you point this out as well. It's a hard thing to do because this goes for everything. Who is the better all-time LSU player? Ja'Marr Chase or Terrace Marshall? Well, you know, Ja'Marr Chase, right? Ja'Marr Chase had the greatest receiving season we've ever seen at LSU, right? Did y'all see the stat today? Ja'Marr Chase, in the last 2 seasons, Ja'Marr Chase led college football in the last 2 years with touchdown catches of 20 yards or more. He had 14 in the last 2 seasons, the most in college football, and he didn't even play a snap this past year. That's how freaking great he was. He was unbelievable. And the funny thing was he was benched for one of those garbage games. So he did everything he did in only 14 games. But because he opted out, I would say Justin Jefferson had a better career than Ja'Marr Chase. Because Justin Jefferson was really good in 2018. He was LSU's leading receiver by a mile in 2018. Do you think Sage Ryan starts this year? No. Not day one, but he will eventually. You should do a Where Are They Now video. Why do you miss the Les Miles years? Ed Orgeron is a far better coach than Les Miles. And as you know, I have a lot of criticisms of Ed Orgeron, but he's far better. You're trying to make... JJ, can I not get one Oreo? Is that enough for you, JJ? Okay, Christian. So let me ask you this, Christian. That's a good point. So if Cordell Flott plays like he did last year, Sage or McGlothern's going to take that spot. Well, what about Jay Ward? What about Jay Ward? Jay Ward's really good. I mean, if you actually, you know. Okay, what do we know about Jay Ward? Well, we probably don't win the Ole Miss game without Jay Ward. You got to pick 6. We probably don't win the Arkansas game because Jay Ward not only made the big defensive play in that game, he also blocked the game-tying kick. And Jay Ward was not healthy to start the season. And in the first game, because Derek Stingley had that mystery injury, they had to play Jay Ward, who was really hurt, out of shape because we didn't get the Tommy Moffitt workout thing. He should not have been playing. And Jay Ward got burned badly in that game. That kid showed me a lot of heart, knowing that he wasn't healthy. Okay? So, I understand Sage Ryan is a new flashy thing, and I know a lot of you want to bench Cordell Flott, But if Derek Stingley and Elias Ricks are playing, those are two non-negotiables. Those are the two best true freshman corners, arguably ever. I mean, they were really that good. Definitely the best true freshman corners since PP7. And Dante Jackson was actually really good as a true freshman at corner, but when he played. But look, we got to include Jay Ward in these conversations because I know he's not a big name and he wasn't a big prize recruit. I don't know, Larry. I don't know if Jay Ward sucked. I would argue the opposite. Was he great? No, he wasn't great. But I think he deserves some serious consideration for the slot. Okay, Jay Ward got burned every game. Did he? I guess I got to go back, Larry, and watch. You might be right about that. Ahmad, I don't know if you're trolling or not with the Danny Etling comment because you did that comment earlier about Jonathan Giles. What's up, Esteban? About time. Oh, you're responding to Jarrett Lee. So Jarrett Lee was another one of my friends in college who I knew fairly well. Jarrett, a really nice dude. He really is a cool dude. I think Jarrett Lee gets a bit of a bad rap. I really do. Because Jarrett Lee was never set up for success. I think we tend to underrate how difficult it was to be a quarterback under Les Miles. The game planning meetings at LSU were so bad. They were incompetent. They were horrible. And to make matters worse, Les Miles hires his buddy, Cam Cameron. Oh, that's great. Hire a buddy. That's going to fix things. And you guys saw what happened, right? However, Danny Etling was a really good quarterback. Remember, when Danny Etling was the starter, his full year as the starter, his last year, LSU set a record for the fewest amount of turnovers in a season with 8. Of those 8 turnovers, only 2 of them were interceptions. So Danny Etling, his senior season, if my memory serves me correctly, was a 16 touchdown, 2 interception quarterback. And I believe that was 2017. Okay? Now think about this. 2017, that was Ed Orgeron's first year. And that was pre-progressive offense Ed Orgeron. So what is the one thing Ed Orgeron probably told Danny Etling to do? Don't turn the football over. As we all know, Danny Etling was a limited quarterback. But as Bruce points out, he's still in the NFL. He didn't lose you games. He was a transfer from Purdue. And he had to step in. And if he didn't step in and play decent, we were in the middle of the Brandon Harris aftermath and disaster. Danny Etling was a really good quarterback. A really good quarterback. So I will not accept Danny Etling sarcasm on this channel. I love me some Danny Etling. Coach Miles, that's funny, JJ. Coach Miles, what's your response to the lack of offensive production? I'm going to hire a friend. You guys got to understand. My New Orleans Pelicans are on national TV, and I turned the TV off so I could just focus on you. So I need another super chat right now. I need another Venmo right now. But really. So we got to go on the road tomorrow because it's Valentine's Day tomorrow with the girlfriend, which is why we couldn't do the live stream on our normal Saturday night. Fourth quarter just started, and the Pelicans and Dallas are over 100 points. It's crazy. Let's go, Pels. So what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? What are you guys doing for Valentine's Day? I spoiled it again. I'm going to watch the Pelicans. Hey, if you guys want to support the Pelicans, go ahead. I'm turning it back off. I'm checking in when I can. But look, I'm going to let you guys know this, all right? I'm so freaking excited about the future of this program. 3K getting booty. That better be a Keyshawn reference because that kind of juvenile discussion will not be allowed on this channel. Debbie's staying at home with the weather being bad. Okay, Biggie. Larry said, bring the wood. Larry, and once again, we're not going to have this juvenile type of discussion. I literally lost all my viewers because all of them said, I'm going to go watch Zion and Luka. Huh? What's going on, Big A? 3K with the innuendo. Ahmad, you've had some weird comments tonight. I'm not going to lie. Biggie, you're getting in at the right time. I'm telling you. But look, my mom is dropping me off to surprise on, I think it's food. Okay. What's up, Zach? No news on Elias Ricks. I haven't heard anything in a while. Seems I'm always say, what's up, Michael? Come on in, man. Any news on the new defense at Cheeky? We don't really know too much. One thing that's going to be interesting, though, is install is going to be fascinating because I still don't know if Durante Jones knows exactly what the defense is going to look like, which is not a bad thing. I think he's currently probably watching SEC film because the way college football is played is obviously different than the NFL, even though the two have become more alike. Best thing since tuna steaks. This is going to be interesting, though. The Minnesota Vikings didn't play. It's on ESPN. The Minnesota Vikings didn't play at too fast of a pace. So the one thing Durante Jones is going to have to do is not only get used to calling plays again, but getting used to calling plays quickly. 3K says, I don't want to bring it up, but I'm going to bring it up. Well, 3K, there's and a commenter asked me about this, and I brought it up in one of our videos this week because it is part of the discussion with LSU football. 3K, we just got to let the investigation run its course. There's nothing you can really say on it. Do you think I'm worried about it? Yeah. LSU football is my life. The university means a lot to me. I went to LSU. This is more than just football for people that went to the university. And look, whatever comes out of this, here's something that's interesting about it, 3K, is that it's not just a football program. This is a campus-wide thing. Terrace Marshall will be a New Orleans Saint. How interesting would that be? Terrace Marshall as a Saint? I don't know why I wear headphones. I don't need them. KMC, always bringing some good insight. Maxim. Zachary, what are our top targets for next year's class? Well, I've shared this before. LSU's already gotten their two most important players for the class of 2022. The most important players for LSU to get every year is the number 1 and number 2 player in the state of Louisiana. And they already have those two guys committed. Walker Howard at quarterback and Will Campbell at offensive tackle. That's huge. And that's obviously two big impact positions, especially offensive tackle, considering where LSU is right now. So there's other guys like Walter Nolan in the class of 2022 to keep an eye out for. Donovan Campbell's a 5-star offensive guard that they're after. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm kind of getting excited about Durante. So this is what I would do is if I was Ed Orgeron, obviously, if you're going to run the Joe Brady offense, you're going to be running a lot of plays. It's going to be moving really fast. So if the game moves fast, Durante Jones needs to get used to calling plays fast. The Minnesota Vikings, I don't have their pace statistics in front of me. The Minnesota Vikings did not play at a fast pace, though. I'm just guessing because they have Dalvin Cook and they're play action, pro style, methodical. Kirk Cousins isn't a hurry up quarterback. Christian asks, Kev Falk, year 2, how does he do? Shout out Kev Falk in the background. Kev Falk, he's got one thing, and a few of you have brought this up, he needs to tighten his running back rotation. I think last year was tough for a running back to get a rhythm, but the run blocking has to get better. LSU last year was horrible when it comes to yards per rush. 3.3 yards per rush, which is outside the top 100. That is unacceptable. Watching John Emery and Ty Davis-Price run the football, they're both decent, but neither one of them strikes fear in the opposition when they're running the football, the same way a Leonard Fournette or a Jeremy Hill or a Clyde or whoever. If you're a defensive coordinator, you always adjust your defense. The first thing a lot of defensive coordinators do when they get ready to put together a game plan, they always ask this question: who do we have the game plan for? Well, running back is kind of becoming a disposable position, right? You could have a good offense without a dynamic running back. However, it does help when your running back is dynamic because that's one more person you have to account for. If you were to ask a lot of Alabama fans, they would tell you that Najee Harris was almost, or if not more valuable than Devonta Smith this year because he was so freaking good at running between the tackles that you really had to commit your safeties, and then that's where Devonta would get you over the top. Debbie, have a safe Valentine. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think for me, when I watch John Emery, when I watch Ty Davis-Price run the football, neither one of them, I mean, they're both good. They're both good players, but neither one of them make me say, oh my God, we got to really commit a safety to the box when they have the carry. So I don't know. That's where Armani Goodwin steps in. That's where Corey Kiner steps in. And I think Kev Falk on the recruiting trail said, look, you're going to have an opportunity to play. Jeremy Hill was special. And here's something interesting about Jeremy Hill. I got you, 3K. We're working on it. Now that someone sent me this shirt, I kind of feel like getting some merch. Huh? Even though this is kind of cool. Carter the Power. That's kind of a cool shirt, huh? I got you, 3K. So look. Maxim with the hot take. Devonta is going to be a bust. I don't know. I think so. That's what made Justin Jefferson so special, is that not only did he have to step in for Stephon Diggs, he had Kirk Cousins thrown to him, and he was still good. Zachary, I don't know too much about these guys. I know they're committed. I know they're decent. I haven't watched a single snap of Lucas Taylor. Now, I've watched Will Campbell, and while he is really good, I don't know if he's year one good. But then again, there. I don't know, Zach. I don't know how new you are to the channel. I just don't think there's probably anywhere from 10 to 15 players every year that are ready to play as a true freshman. And I mean, start and be very good as a true freshman. So, Ahmad, this is what's crazy about the Jeremy Hill thing was that season, LSU had 4 big-time running backs on their roster, right? They had 4 huge running backs on their roster. They had Michael Ford, Spencer Ware, Alfred Blue, and Kenny Hilliard, okay? So they had 4 big-time running backs. And I remember Cody Worsham, who now works for LSU football, I was working with him at Dig Magazine at the time, and he ran a front page story with those 4 guys on the cover. But guess what? The 5th string running back, which was Jeremy Hill, was supremely better than any of them. So that's what made that so fascinating to me, was that those guys were so freaking good. But Jeremy Hill was that much better. And that was the game, the South Carolina game in 2012. Ironically, I was a sideline cameraman for that game. I was on the field for that game. And that was such a weird game. One thing we tend to forget, though, so we always call that the Jeremy Hill game because he did break out. However, we do not talk about Josh Jurasik in that game. I don't know if you guys remember Josh Jurasik. His last name was spelled Dworaczyk. And I know Josh, and I wouldn't call him a friend or a close friend, but he's a friend of mine. However, Josh Jurasik, on basically 4 days' notice, had to be the left tackle because LSU's starting left tackle was Alex Hurst. Well, Alex Hurst just kind of left the team before the game. He just kind of left. I don't exactly remember what happened. So we talk about Jeremy Hill so much, but Josh Jurasik, he did play guard. He never played a snap of left tackle. Had to basically, on 5 days notice, had to block Jadeveon Clowney. And that was peak Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney's best year was a sophomore year in 2012. And Josh Jurasik was amazing. He was amazing that game. Now, Clowney had 6 tackles and 2 pass deflections, but he had no sacks, no big hits on Mettenberger. When healthy, Myles Brennan is a first-round talent and LSU's best QB. I could roll with that, Ray. Oh, Tony, how could anyone forget about Tre'Davious White? he's so supremely good in the NFL. It's kind of hard to not, notice him. You know what's funny about Tre'Davious White? So against Baltimore, it was 4th down and 6. And he was just completely fooled by the play call, and he got burned so bad. But Baltimore had their backup quarterback in, and he overshot the receiver so bad. And Trey White just never gets burned. And I was like, thank goodness. Thank goodness that ball was overthrown. Trey White's a beast, though. Cecil the Diesel. Who is Hunter Tipton? My friend Tatum Everett. She's a great reporter in Nashville. She was in Shreveport at the time. She's done a lot of really cool stories on Trey and Greedy Williams. Well, Zach, I don't comment on other people's stuff, but I will say 104 is really, really good. I don't really watch other people's stuff. I'll listen to the occasional interview. But T-Bob, the way I read it earlier, T-Bob and Jacob Hester is now their morning show. But like I said, I say this all the time. I hope everyone does well. And, I'm going to keep doing my own thing, and whatever happens, happens. I'd love to be a guest on Off the Bench. But let me tell you this. T-Bob and Jacob Hester, they're going to do a great show. Okay, so JJ, do you see this 3K? I'm going to sponsor a question for 3K. So 3K, you can ask me any question. It would be good with T-Bob. So Zachary, T-Bob and I used to do a podcast together, and T-Bob is still a friend of mine to this day. T-Bob's such a good dude. He really is such a good dude. But I enjoy T-Bob. The problem with T-Bob and I doing the podcast is and they're still on the internet. Our podcast just got so strange. We had some weird episodes because we're both kind of different people. T-Bob is just so dang interesting, man. He's just a very interesting guy. But what's interesting about the 104 guys, Jimmy Ott gave me my first shot. I was Jimmy Ott's intern, and he gave me my first opportunity. He really did. And that was back in 2009. Oh, Zach. No, I didn't. I've never done D&D with T-Bob. That sounds weird, though. No, I'm guessing you're referring to Dungeons and Dragons. Funny thing, there was someone that wrote a comment, and I got to go find it in my phone, a screenshot of this. And so I did hire a buddy shirts. Max, about time you joined us, Max. Max, did you get your card in the mail? Because I don't want to go in the post office to send you another card. I'm still mad that your first Daniil Hunter rookie card didn't get there. Larry, that's too much. It's an hour 45. I get these questions always like 2 hours into a live stream. Carter, give me your all-time greatest LSU team. Okay, understand. If I were to do that, there's obviously some non-negotiables, right? So, if you're basing it just on one season, then Joe Burrow is a non-negotiable. Even if you base it on 2 seasons, he's still a non-negotiable. Real question, as far as overall, Carter, how are we like, really? What? Hire a buddy. Oh, he's a tight end class of 2022. I thought the tight end that all you guys wanted was Max Johnson's brother. But what's interesting, so Jimmy Ott gave me my first opportunity. Also, I have Jacob Hester's. I was such a big Jacob Hester fan. I bought a replica jersey from the Chargers, and it's currently in my my childhood bedroom. I know it's weird, but I was a huge Jacob Hester fan. I was a freshman at LSU for the 2007 national championship team. 3K LSU is really talented. You know, they returned so much talent. Great, Ahmad. I still got to get my Jacob Hester rookie. So I'm collecting all the base rookie cards of all the LSU Tigers. And it's kind of hard to do it because the models. So I don't want to get into a card discussion, though. Oh, Josh, stop, please.
I've got 3 sweaters on her.
You got 3 sweaters? You tripled her up?
She's a baby.
Why you got 3 sweaters on her?
Well, because I didn't want her to get cold.
And she got a haircut today. So she lost all that warm fur. Oh, look at her being all cozy.
Oh, she was so cozy. She was on your pillow sleep.
How? What? She can't be on my pillow sleep.
Oh, she was looking all over your pillow.
And Jacob Hester's just a beast. This is my only problem with Jacob.
Can I warm my food up?
In the microwave?
Okay, you want me to eat cold food?
Got the oven right here.
Baby. Okay,
guys, our internet's going to be spotty for 2 seconds because my girlfriend thinks she needs to eat. Go on ahead, baby. Go ahead, eat it up.
She can barely shake.
She can't even shake. So Booger's got 3 sweaters on. It's so daggum cold in here.
God, it's ridiculous.
We still got our oven on. Can you put the food in the oven?
Baby, shut the fuck.
No, hey, shh. Ron, I appreciate. Ron, did you send me this shirt? I don't know who sent me the shirt. I'm guessing it's Tony, but Tony's not even been in the live stream.
Tony?
Yeah, I think it was Tony Roya who sent us this shirt. I appreciate you, JJ. Yeah, dude, that Fort Worth thing was nasty.
Come here, baby.
It wasn't you, Ron?
Come here, baby.
Brit's at work watching us right now. Britt, it just has my name on it. Somebody sent it to me. Stay safe, JJ. Hey, JJ, I hope you hadn't left yet. Are you still there, JJ? I need you to send me an email tonight. Actually, in fact, there was something I did. I don't know. I meant to tell him this. I hope he didn't. He might have already signed off.
Who's JJ?
The ER from Shreveport.
Tell him we'll be there tomorrow.
We are going to Shreveport tomorrow. I think JJ already signed off. Let's see. Here's my email, JJ. Y'all don't go off sharing this with everybody. I'm just kidding. Shoot me an email, JJ, right now, if you can.
Is he an ER doctor?
He's an ER doctor.
We're going to meet JJ tomorrow.
Yeah, he can come by. Shoot me.
Ask JJ if he knows about Herbie K's. That's where we're going. Herbie K.
We're going to Herbie K. No.
Are you kidding me?
Go. Yeah, JJ's getting in his truck to go to the ER. And normally that's like.
Hi, baby.
Zion put up 35 tonight. Look at Zion.
Oh, really? He's a monster.
We're getting our butts kicked. I'm such a bad Pelican fan.
You really are.
I love those guys I love the freaking Pelicans so much. Blind Tiger? Les is the goat of any coaches when it comes to grass eating. It's the fourth quarter every single day. Paris, what's up? Paris. Britt, she hadn't even started heating the food yet, and the Wi-Fi got spotty.
I did not, Carter.
Are you on the hotspot?
I'm not doing anything but sending a text message, bro.
No, I was just asking if you're on the hotspot. 3K, I don't know. I don't know if there's any clock management improvements. Josh says, hey, do you email? Yeah, you can email me. Go on ahead. Terrence McGee for president. Terrence McGee was a beast. I actually have Terrence McGee's rookie card. I think. I still need to get his. I still do.
You can't stay up late tonight.
Yeah, I can't. We got to end this live stream soon because we got to go to Shreveport tomorrow. We're going to Shreveport. Paris, what's on the agenda tonight? Oh, we didn't do a city shout out. Where are you guys watching from tonight? Where are we watching from? Rep your hood right now.
Booger, you've already had dinner, Mama.
She don't want to eat right now?
She's trying to eat again.
Oh, you heated up some tofu too?
I did. I had 3 little bites of it left.
Can you bring me a shrimpy?
No.
Can I not have
You
one?
already ate.
Can I have one shrimpy?
I didn't eat lunch today.
I just want one shrimpy. What?
You don't even like shrimp.
Who here thinks I should get one shrimp? All I'm asking for is one shrimp. I just want one shrimpy. Been putting in so much work for just one shrimp. Larry's in Slidell. Biggie's in Bro Bridge. Derek's in Shreveport. Britt's from the 337. Vincent's in H-Town. Paris, I appreciate you, man. Wait, Paris, where are you watching from? Let me see. Did I miss Paris shout out? Paris, where are you watching from? Thanks for your donation, man. Oh, we got Ja Morant versus LeBron tonight? Okay. I like Ja. Paris is in Atlanta. Oh, look. We added an extra country tonight, baby.
What?
Turkey.
Nice.
Turkey. How cool is that? That man blessed. Everybody welcome that man blessed.
I love Turkish coffee.
Oh, yeah, it is good. Turkish coffee is good.
My best friend's Bosnian.
Everybody say hi to that man blessed.
Nice.
Welcome to the channel. What's up, man? That is cool. So may I ask, why are you in Turkey? That is so cool. So I have a connection to Turkey. That a soccer match played in Turkey is the reason why I became a soccer fan. Back in 2005, when Liverpool, down by 3 versus AC Milan, made the most impressive comeback in the history of the sport in the Champions League final. That game was played in Istanbul, Turkey. And the Reds were victorious. There for a job. That's cool, man. Well, welcome to the stream.
Where's he from originally?
Where are you from originally? My girlfriend asked. That is such an interesting thing to move over there for work. Derek, thank you for your super chat. Derek, what would you like to talk about?
Would you look at how Bernie looks like a The Michelin Man with all 3 legs.
Oh, that man bless is from Arkansas.
No.
We are too. I grew up in a town called El Dorado, Arkansas.
That would be South Arkansas.
South Arkansas.
There you go.
We got some South Arkansas. Roger's not in here. Roger's currently going to a school in South Arkansas. That man bless is from Arkansas. That's cool, man. So it's interesting. A lot of you guys. Derek wants to talk quarterback. So let's talk quarterbacks. Arkansas. So, Derek, I'm thinking about it too, because the problem is it's hard to eliminate Max or Myles. But if you feel shaky, and this is a question, Derek, I want you to answer. If you feel shaky about the LSU offensive line, then you're going to want Max Johnson to be the guy simply because he's more mobile. And a more mobile quarterback helps out a bad offensive line or a shaky offensive line. Oh, Leonard, I was in El Dorado a while back helping get the lights on. That's cool, Leonard. Electrician. That's cool. I got a lot of friends that do that, actually. You guys don't get enough credit for what you do, Leonard. It's unreal.
Ask him if you work for Atkins Electric.
So my girlfriend hates me when I do this, but I will stop and get out of a car to sit and watch an electrician fix a power line. Like, I will stop and watch. I know, but I will stop what I'm doing to watch an electrician fix a power line. It's so fascinating to me. I would just be scared out of my mind. Anyone that climbs up that 16,000-foot wooden pole to put together a line, it's crazy. It blows my mind. That's a profession that I'm very fascinated with. And our guy Larry, we have another Larry, not Larry. No, Lewis. Lewis isn't here tonight, but Lewis is a truck driver, right? Truck drivers, to me, is the most fascinating job in the country. I really do believe it. I think truck driving is the one common job. Now, obviously, being a surgeon, none of us can just do that. But I think the hardest job on the freaking planet is being a truck driver. I really do. I couldn't do that. I simply could not do that. Hey, what's up, Josh? JJ never sent me an email. Let's see if he did or not.
We gotta go to bed early.
We do gotta go to bed.
Here's a shrimp. I can't eat all this.
Can I get one shrimp? I just want one.
There's only 5 shrimp in it, but I just can't eat it all. You don't even like shrimp, Bubba.
Right.
You don't like shrimp. You say all the time you don't like it.
Oh, that's good.
You like my garlic farm shrimp the other night.
Okay. Max, we'll get to your super chat in just a moment.
This a booger?
Yes.
With her bows?
With her bows.
Babe.
Is that okay?
I love it.
Okay.
She only got 2 comments.
Max, I'm going to get to your question in a moment, but I'm going to go to the guy who is in Turkey, who is from Arkansas. What's up, that man bless? Where are you from in Arkansas? I'm curious. What are your thoughts on the depth at cornerback behind Stingley and Ricks? Last year, Kerry Vincent was solely missed. Good comment. So, look, Kerry Vincent was really good at the end of 2019. He was really good. Not just at picking off passes, but his speed or his play started to match his speed. Something else about Kerry Vincent was he was LSU's best raw athlete when it comes to working out. In other words, all these fancy metrics that they use, like squat velocity and all that stuff, Kerry Vincent was a freak of nature. So I do agree with you that man Bless from Little Rock. Cool. I freaking love Little Rock. I really do. But look, what's funny about Kerry Vincent was it wasn't just him that was solely missed. The fact that LSU was scrambling for cornerback depth, and at the very last second, they had to use a scholarship on, the Evans kid from Nichols, who's not any good. That goes to your point, that man, Bless, that we simply just did not have depth at cornerback. Now, think about that. We're freaking LSU. We didn't have depth at cornerback. Well, we lost Christian Fulton. Derek Stingley Jr. was very hurt, and he was the worst kind of hurt. The worst kind of hurt is a player who is healthy throughout the course of the week or gets hurt during the game or gets hurt right before the game. So that hurt our cornerback depth. If we didn't have Elias Ricks, we would have had our worst secondary probably we've ever had. It didn't help that our safety play was all over the place. It didn't help that the communication was bad. So all those things kind of factored into the cornerback problems. But here's something else that you have to factor in. You know who would have been a junior last year? You know who would have, if he was patient, if he humbled himself just for a little bit, you know who would have been a really good player for us last year? Kelvin Joseph. If Kelvin Joseph had just, said to himself, look, I got beat out by Derek Stingley Jr. No big deal. I'm just going to sit it out. Look, Kelvin Joseph would have played a lot in 2019, even as the non-starter. Okay? Did you see how much Cordell Flott played in 2019? That would have been Kelvin Joseph's snaps. You get it? So what does that mean? Well, that means that our cornerback depth, due to transfers, due to good players going to the NFL, due to injuries, that all factored in. And look, we just weren't in the best of shape either. Marcus brought this up earlier, and I don't think Marcus is here anymore, but our guys were a little out of shape. They simply were. And why were they out of shape? Well, Tommy Moffitt didn't get his full off season.
Babe, do you want the rest of my vegetables?
Yeah, I might in a second. So that's a problem. That was a huge problem for us, right? Where's Kelvin Joseph now? So he transferred to Kentucky, and he had a up and down season. Then he quit after Kyle Pitts got a hold of him.
Come, buddy.
So he is preparing for the NFL draft. All the dude had to do, I'm serious, he made such a bad decision. He made such a bad decision. Oh, yes. Your super chat. I'm sorry, Paris. That's my fault.
Paris?
No, Paris, thank you for your super chat. Let me see. Let's go to Max's super chat here. Kayshawn, Jure, Coy Moore in the slot with some empty 2 personnel with Kole Taylor and Jack Bech at tight end. Max, I can roll with that. So, look, some of you really like Jack Bech a lot. I do too. I think Jack's really good. Now, is he special? Well, he could be. If he puts in the work, I think he could be very good.
For Daddy.
But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Projected as a first rounder in some analyst picks. I hope so. Trust me, I hope Kelvin Joseph turns out to be great. I wish the best for every football player. But let me tell you this. If you go up to Kelvin Joseph and D. Anderson, who transferred before the season began because they both lost their starting position, both of them still would have played. They both still would have played. D. Anderson definitely would have gotten some snaps when Terrace got hurt. So it's just one of those things.
Hold on, baby. I'll take you out just 1 second, okay? I'm going to wash the dishes and I'll take you out.
Yeah, Bech is good.
It's okay, baby. You go out? Look at her face.
Chris Hilton.
Oh, my goodness.
Go on ahead, Bug. Y'all want to see Bug again? Come on in. Y'all say goodnight to Bug.
Look at her. She got 1, 2, 3.
She got 3 layers on because she's about to go OUT for one more time. Look at how cute she is with her haircut.
She took such a good nap upstairs.
She took a nappy wappy?
Mm-hmm.
After your appearance, you took a nappy? Look at her. Such a pretty dog.
her vest won't her little snow jacket won't even.
What's he doing now, Ron? So I know he was at Oklahoma State. Is he in the NFL draft? What is he doing now, Ron? D. Anderson was good. Carvis, good luck, man. I know you got the PhD program to worry about now. God, I would say we're talking that Carvis is my go-to Philip Webb contact. Does anyone think that the wide receiver group will be cross-trained? So this is interesting. So to Max's super chat, I think Jack Bech. I don't know if it's for sure they'll move him to tight end though. It'll make a lot of sense if they did that though. That's true, Michael. Mo Funky, what's up, dude? But you know what? I think all the wide receivers, and Max can help me out with this. I think all the wide receivers train and learn all the positions. So, especially the Joe Brady offense, you got to be able to do a little bit of everything. I don't think it's just a offense where one wide receiver just always lines up in the slot. King Ulysses, what's up? No, I'm happy the Stingley on offense thing is likely not going to happen because that just opens yourself up for disaster. And that's a funny thing. There's so many LSU players at play. Devin White could have been a good LSU running back. Alfred Blue could have been a great LSU linebacker. There's so many guys that are so good on both sides of the ball. Oftentimes some of the best LSU special teamers play special teams, or some of the best LSU special teamers are offensive guys, even though they're going down and making a tackle. Like, obviously Racing McMath is one of those guys. Tony. Okay. Tony fell asleep. About time we saw you. So Tony, were you the one that sent this shirt? There you go. It was Tony, baby. I told you it was Tony.
You said it.
I told you it was Tony. So, Tony, I tweeted out a video about this, and I was getting ready to email you. But I was like, I know Tony's going to be at the live chat, and I know it would make his night if he just saw me wearing it at the beginning of the live stream. But, Tony, look. I'm wearing it now. Tony, I'm being dead serious. I don't think I've ever had a shirt with my name on it. The last shirt I've had with my name on it. Babe, do I have a shirt? I don't think I have a shirt with my name on it. So. The only shirt that I have with my name on it is my Chris Carter Minnesota Vikings jersey.
Such a cool gift.
Thank you so much. Tony, I appreciate you. Ron is a BTJ guy. Hey, Dion Smith, look, he's an early enrollee. The other guys aren't. Or at least I don't think so. I don't think any of the other guys are. I know LSU has 9 early enrollees. It's Mason. Let's see if I can do this off the top of my head. It's Mason Smith,
I'll be right there, buddy.
Garrett
Go out.
Nussmeyer, Derek
You look
Davis,
so cute.
Dion
You're
Smith,
good.
Peyton Todd, Bug Strong, Landon Jackson, someone else. I can't remember.
After I get this done, we'll go upstairs and get cozy.
Tony, thank you. I really do love the shirt.
I love it.
And Tony, look, I'm 5'7", 5'8", somewhere around there.
No. Don't give yourself that much credit.
What do you know? My girlfriend's not giving me an extra inch.
I'm taller than you. No, I'm not. He looks handsome in it. I love it. Is Arik in there?
Yeah, Eric's in there.
I hadn't talked to Arik tonight.
Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is a monster. Jump ball machine.
Let me know if Arik shouts hey out. I hadn't talked to Arik.
Eric shouted you out earlier.
He did?
I believe. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, thank you.
Ooh, Coy Moore makes a huge jump this year. Coy was pretty good. They had a pretty good true freshman year. I don't even think Coy Moore thought he was going to play as much as he did. Eric's my favorite person in this chat. Well, Arik is always in the chat, just
Erik's
chilling.
my favorite person.
LSU run NFL. I don't understand why Saints never draft LSU players. Bubba Down South. That is a great name. Cliff's not here. Cliff is partying in BR. He's going to Pluckers every night, getting him a 5-wing combo.
He's back in BR?
Yeah, he's hanging out in BR.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sean Payton loves him some OSU and Bama. Okay, I'm going to counter that because LSU did pick up Quan Alexander,
All right, Mama.
and he did get hurt, and Quan Alexander would have been the linebacker guarding Leonard Fournette on all those throws that killed our Saints.
Go out. Come on.
So it wasn't just that
What'd you think?
Tampa Bay beat us with LSU guys, okay? Because it was Devin White and Leonard Fournette. They were the 2 best players for Tampa Bay in that game. It's that our LSU guy for the Saints, Quan Alexander, and Will Clapp's on the team too, but Quan Alexander was a big pickup. Quan Alexander, who was drafted by Tampa Bay, Quan Alexander was supposed to be our linebacker to defend the pass, but he was hurt. Coy Moore could be that next guy, Blessed. He could be. Congrats, Josh. I'm going to be 28 on June 11th. We'll throw you a birthday party in. Let's see. James, what's good? Another Arkansas Tiger. James, we just met Blessed from Little Rock. He is currently living in Turkey.
That is so cool.
That is so cool. Well, I think
for work.
I think he would rather be back in the States in the middle of a pandemic, but it's just cool that we have someone watching a turkey. So James James reps Little Rock, Arkansas. There we go. We got James is we have got some Arkansas LSU love right here. We got some Arkansas Tigers. I'm an Arkansas Tiger. Oh, okay. I see, Tony. Tony, you got to understand, I eat all the time. So extra large is always going to be the safe size. By the way, I've been watching just finally logged in the YouTube account. Well, thanks for watching. I appreciate you. We are better for your comments.
All right.
Tony fell asleep.
You go out?
And he had to wait 2 hours to see his shirt.
But he said Tony from Tennessee.
I said I thought it was Tony.
I have the screenshots for receipts. He really did.
Because look, only a few of you have my address. Ron said, "Hey, girly." Ron's my guy. Britt said, "Let's all bombard Carter with custom shirts."
Please do.
Please. Arik is awesome.
There's Arik
there
with
he
his
is.
hey shout out. I was waiting on it, bro.
Are you taking Bug out?
Yes.
It's 2 degrees outside, Bug. Why do you want to go back out?
She's got 3 layers, Daddy.
She's got 3 layers?
You ready to go out?
Look, her feet. I want y'all to. I wish I could flip the camera. Her feet slide on the floor. When she wants to go somewhere, she will plant her front legs.
Traction,
she has no friction on those back paws.
Come on, Mama. Come on, baby mom.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that's great. I'll send some custom hats.
We're gonna get merch.
We're getting merch. We're getting merch. JJ was calling me out earlier for not having any merch. Paris, we're going to release some merch. I know Debbie's asked as well. Debbie, Leslie, a few other of you. Bug wears number 7. So, look, it doesn't really get cold where I live, but it's obviously really cold everywhere right now. Man, I'm a little wuss. I'm a little wuss when it comes to the cold. I really am. Josh, remind us on January 11th, or June 11th, we'll have a party for you. Let's see. All right, guys, we'll wrap this up here in a second. Slidell. I miss Slidell. I used to go down. One of my best friends lives there. Frozen rain. Okay, King Ulysses is in Denver. I know it's cold there. But it's weird, though, Ulysses. Are there a lot of... Okay, so I know there was a big, car accident in Fort Worth. Are there a lot of do people slide on the roads in Denver a lot? Is that a common thing? I've lived in places where it gets cold. So I used to live in Washington, D.C., but I never really lived during a winter where I had to drive. Oh, it doesn't. That's interesting. Good question. Starting 5 offensive line. So we did this last live stream, but I'll do it again now. My starting 5 offensive line, if I had to start a group today, and I don't know if Carvis is still in here. I think he's studying, doing smart PhD stuff. So Carvis has a good starting offensive line as well. The question is, what are they going to do with Austin Deculus? So there's some people, now there's no rumors. I've not heard Shay Dixon or anyone write about this, or Brooks or anybody. But there are some people that think Austin Deculus would do better if they moved him to offensive guard. So, I did some film study on Austin Deculus last night. He really struggles against really athletic guys. So in other words, fast defensive ends. So in other words, he would be better going up against bigger defensive ends. But if he were to go up against a Von Miller or a Terrence Lewis, who I watched him go up against Terrence Lewis of Alabama, the 2019 game, and also Deculus had a rough game. But, he struggles with that. If you move him to offensive guard, he doesn't have to worry about that as much. So here's what I would do. I would keep Liam Shanahan at center. You want continuity at center. Something else, Liam Shanahan has chemistry with 3 different quarterbacks. Something else, Liam Shanahan had to snap the football in all different types of climate. In rain, in fog, at home, on the road, on turf. He was good. Liam Shanahan overall was pretty good. Then you look at left guard. I think Ed Ingram, you keep left guard. You keep him at left guard. Here's what I would do. This would be my dream starting offensive line.
Baby,
I
I'm
would
gonna, I'm gonna go fix the bed real quick.
go fix them up. Yeah, just keep her down here. She'll be fine.
She'll be okay.
She'll be fine down here for a little bit. So at left tackle, I would start Dare Rosenthal.
Stay right here. I'll be
At
right
left
back.
guard, I'll do Ed Ingram. At center, I'll keep Liam Shanahan. At right guard, put Austin Deculus there. And then right tackle, I will put
I'll be right back.
Cam Wire. Roger! No, Roger. So Roger is our third Arkansas Tiger to join. Roger's currently in my hometown of El Dorado, where I grew up. And James is in Little Rock. And Roger, we have Blessed, who is watching for the first time. He's from Little Rock, but he is watching from Istanbul, Turkey. Bubba down south is a Chris Hilton and Corey Kiner secret weapon. I've slid on ice before, and it was the scariest thing. It's the scariest thing to do. Big cat drill, huh? Rage Comedy Club. I haven't seen you in a minute, Rage. What's up, man? Bless, that's a good question. So here's the thing. Bubble screens or tunnel screens or any type of screens, it's so hard to run those now because, defensive linemen are just so athletic that they're able to tackle it so quickly. And defensive linemen are smarter now that if they come through unblocked, they know to trace back and make the tackle. Part of why LSU screen game was so good is because in 2019 was, number one, they didn't use it a whole lot. They didn't do a whole lot of just screens. And number two, it helps out when you're throwing, for instance, I think you're thinking of the Jamar Chase screen. Well, part of the reason why that screen was so good is, well, you're throwing the ball to Jamar Chase, who is a filthy animal when he gets the football. That's the scary thing about Jamar Chase is that, Jamar Chase was just good at everything. He was good at catching slants. He was good at catching jump balls. He was good at catching screens. He was good at getting a jump ball. He was good at, catching the football while getting hit. He was good at catching a ball in traffic between two guys. He legit, that was the most amazing thing about this guy was, whenever someone catches a lot of deep touchdowns, sometimes it's luck. Sometimes it's just play design. But Jamar Chase, a lot of his catches were not easy catches. He had to beat guys to make plays. And as great as Kayshawn was, especially against Ole Miss, it takes a while to learn how to beat guys consistently. And, Jamar was just insanely good at it. Dave, what's good? And Trey, it sucks. We can't watch spring practice. I would love to watch these guys practice. I promise you. I have no idea what happens at an LSU practice. I know they start off with individual drills, but other than that, we don't really know a whole lot. Ahmad, we already did the hood shout out, but do we have some Texas Tigers in here? Well, Tony, that's a scary thing. It's a lot of new coaches, but a lot of uncertainty. So, Roger, we're probably not going to get a spring game. Any thoughts on starting running back? Kareem, I don't know. I really don't. Because look, I don't even think Kev Falk knows. King, I'm hearing the same thing too. And it doesn't shock me. If you go watch,
Here I am. Did you hear her kicking the door?
was she kicking?
Yeah, she was ready to go.
She's ready to go up.
Mom bed.
Yeah, give her a quick good night.
Okay.
Just quick, because I want to wrap this up in a second.
She's ready to go to bed, guys.
Everyone say night to Big. She'll be back on Tuesday. She's ready to get out of all these layers.
She's going big down.
She's going big down?
Yeah.
Or her pawpaw's still a little wet.
She's just cold. It's just cold.
Oh, it's just cold?
Yeah.
Cold pawpaws?
Come on, Mama, baby. Oh, she's going to roll, Daddy.
She's going to roll? Oh, yeah, she's going to get it.
Her belly is so chunky right now.
Oh, she got a chunk of belly?
Yeah.
Mm.
I love
it. Everybody gets so sad when Bud goes to bed. Oh, man. Yeah, so the funny thing about Derek Davis, if you actually go watch his high school stuff, it looks really, really good. It looks really good. And that's the thing. Derek Davis did a lot for his high school team. Wax the eyebrows. Britt, I normally let her do it, but it hurts so bad. But anyway, Derek Davis Jr. he really does pop off. And it was crazy to see him play. He's just a good player, And it's crazy that he even came to LSU. And something else is Derek Davis has every reason to be disgruntled, because the reason why he came here is, obviously LSU's DBU, but, well, he came here because of Bill Bush, who's no longer with the program. So Bill Bush is a Midwestern recruiting star. Obviously he was the reason why Joe Burrow came. Bill Bush wasn't here, Joe Burrow would have never come here. So I'm going to be honest with you. Out of all the freshman wide receivers, there is, and I'm being dead serious, you guys mentioned Dion Smith's name the most. Like, way more than any of the other ones. More than Hilton, more than Neighbors, more. And I initially thought Jack Bech, because he was a Louisiana guy, and he's from Lafayette, and we have a lot of viewers in here from Lafayette. But legit, you guys, it's every stream. It's Dion Smith. I don't know if I have any viewers really No, we do have one or two viewers from Zachary. But yeah, you guys tell me all the time, Dion Smith. Oh, Alabama got one of the Tennessee linebackers. Oh, well. Babe, can you hand me an Ori? Just one?
I'm about to go Ori my ass to bed. Excuse me? We need to stock up on Vizzy tomorrow because we'll be snowed in, okay?
Dion Smith.
I think I lost one of them.
So could someone answer this question for me? Because I just don't know. So Dion Smith got really hurt.
This out, or you want to save it for breakfast?
Just I'll eat it for breakfast. So Dion Smith got hurt, and he couldn't play, the last of his playoffs. Someone asked me about Charles Alexander. I know Charles. I haven't talked to him in a minute, though. He was my first ever guest on my old show. And Charles Alexander is really good friends with my dad, because my dad loves Charles Alexander as a hot sauce. That's really good. It is good.
If you want to know one thing about the Bryants,
we're a hot sauce family. Now, all I use is Cholula. That's the only hot sauce I'll ever use again, probably.
Don't let him be without it.
I got to take Cholula with me on the road. I do. I got to have Cholula with me at all times.
Everywhere.
I freak out if I don't have it. But Charles Alexander has a come on, man. That's the name of the sauce.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. That's the name of the sauce. And he's got a good Creole seasoning. It's good product.
Is it?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. My dad freaking loves it. Now, are we biased? Yeah, because, it's cool. Now, here's the thing. I haven't tried Dustin Poirier's hot sauce. I really want to try his hot sauce. Dustin Poirier, apparently his hot sauce is pretty good. But then again, he's one of my favorite UFC fighters.
Dave, I've got your outfit picked out for tomorrow.
My Liverpool. I want my Liverpool.
And then you're wearing the nice black slacks.
That's fine.
Like the stretchy ones,
Yeah. But I want my Liverpool red hoodie.
I've got.
Red
the one
hoodie.
that I got you.
Yeah, but I want to wear the red hoodie under the jacket.
But are you going to wear your Eddie Bauer jacket?
No, I'm going to wear the red hoodie under the Liverpool jacket.
The one that I got you?
Yeah, I'm wearing that one tomorrow. I think Andre Carter's going to get a lot of the same the defensive line. I don't think Andre Carter would have come to LSU if he didn't get to coach a defensive lineman the way he wanted to coach a defensive lineman. Because look, if Ed Orgeron would have wanted to coach a defensive line the way he would have coached it, he would have hired Christian Lacouture. But, apparently, yeah, apparently Andre Carter's a real deal. Savion Jones and Landon Jackson. You know what's funny? I've never heard one person bring up Landon Jackson's name in this live chat. And I think part of it is because there was that clip of him. Did you guys see this? There was a clip of him in the Under Armour All-American game or Under Armour All-American. Something happens.
Okay, there's all that for tomorrow. Gotcha.
Could adopt a 7-on-7 or preseason, like I've said for a long time, and I think it would be just fine. I don't think the world would melt if we had preseason. Quay Davis is a monster. I was really impressed with that.
Can I go to Target tomorrow?
Yeah, we're going to Target tomorrow. Where did Quay Davis end up? Didn't he end up going to Kansas?
You want no more punch, or you done?
Let's see on punch. I can get a fill.
Bubba, you'll be up all night, Daddy.
What is it? I'll drink water. That's fine.
You'll be.
I got a few more sips.
I don't want you to be up all night.
I'll just drink water.
We really do have to get a good night's sleep.
So I drink this concoction of unsweet tea and sugar-free punch. Starburst cherry punch.
I'm going to have sips so I can take my medicine. Undo it, Bubba.
Tony said Tabasco. That is so funny, Tony. Tony almost made me spit water out.
God don't make him mess up his computer.
Tony said Tabasco is good.
I put Louisiana on my
Tony. Tony said he went to Quay went to where bald players go to die. That's funny too. Oh man. Tony said Tony, you're so wrong for that. Tony said
Is he being shady, baby?
No, Tony's, and I'm not just laughing because I'm wearing a shirt of his. Tony said Tabasco is good for restoring brass.
Not brass.
Not brass.
Tony.
Huh?
Tony.
Ron G, it's the lean baby, the J Russ special. I'm a Jamarcus Russell fan. I'm one of the few owners of a Jamarcus Russell PSA 10 rookie card.
All right, I'm shutting it off in here.
Yeah.
You hear me?
It was $30. Yeah.
I just said I'll shut. Oh, well, you got to go back in there anyway.
I do too.
All right, folks, I'm out.
Ahmad, that clip of Quay Davis hurdling. Everyone say night to hey. She's going up there with Bug.
I gotta go check on my baby. Both my babies.
Josh says I love Crystal hot sauce and Louisiana hot sauce. Not bad options, but nothing comes close to Cholula. Nothing.
All right.
Paris said bye. Peace. Night, hey.
That's my best friend right there. Eric's my best friend in the chat.
Yeah. Peace sign.
And we got purple for LSU. Don't worry about it.
Purple for LSU. For LSU.
Is that what I sound like?
No, I was just.
Love you. I'll go check on my booger. Love you.
Love you too, baby. Because they already have a running backs coach. So Frank Wilson, if Frank Wilson was to come back, he would want to, of course, have a on-field job. So, Ed Orgeron wanted Kev Falk. Obviously, Kev Falk is a big reason why LSU football is any good now. He was the first, superstar of the modern era. And Kev Falk recruited two top 10 backs. So, you can't do better than getting two top 10 backs, especially in a backfield that's kind of crowded. I'm still shocked that, and I think the Armani Goodwin thing happened because they hid Skull. Oh, man. Derek, that's a good question. And thanks for your super chat again, man. Do any former players help more with recruiting? Yeah, I think so. I think Derek King, because that wasn't current. So, Fournette and Devin White being very recent players, it helps out a lot. It really does. So here's another good example of that. So Kev Falk obviously is a former player, but Trev Falk was probably the reason why we were able to get Sage Ryan. Thanks, Fred. I appreciate that. Everyone welcome Fred to the comment section. Thanks for coming by the live stream. That means, I get all these great comments 2 hours and 41 minutes in. But Fred, I appreciate you watching, man. That is the best thing you can do. It's the best thing you could do to support me is obviously, donate super chats, Venmos. That obviously, helps. But if you can't do that, the best thing to do is to watch every single video and watch it all the way through. The best thing you could do for YouTube is to like the video and watch it all the way through. Those are the two most important things, unless, of course, you're donating directly. And comment. But Tony, here's the thing. I'm one of those guys that, there's some people that just do, easy comments, like comment below your favorite color of the rainbow or whatever. I don't ever, I tell people to comment, but I normally like them to watch the video and give a thoughtful comment. So, that's always really helpful. But Fred, I appreciate you watching and helping out. So everyone welcome Fred, Britt, Eric, all those people. What's everyone's favorite coffee? What's funny? French vanilla, but the coffee creamer is so important. Ahmad, huh? Ahmad, you've been trolling me all night. Ahmad tried to slide a Danny Etling sarcastic comment, and I'm telling you, I would not allow Danny Etling slander on this channel. I will not allow it, Ahmad. I will not. Okay? And you just try and troll. Ahmad just tries to troll me. King Ulysses, what do you think about the new linebacker, man? Mike Jones. So, I grew up in the Mike Jones era. So, I'm in my 30s, and Mike Jones was huge for me. Mike Jones, Ludacris, Nelly, that was my era of rap. Now, was that the best era of rap and hip hop? I wouldn't say that. I'm not a big music person, but I would say probably my favorite overall artist was T-Pain. I freaking love T-Pain. Freaking love T-Pain. All right? Especially since T-Pain put on Mr. Sun Chips with the song Feet Pick. You gotta pay for premium. Chameleonaire was very underrated. I think Etling's on the Seahawks. Bug Strong. Let's go. You see, that's Mike Jones. Every time you say Mike Jones, everyone says, ooh, DJ Screw. Well, Roger, you need to get better friends. Danny's on the Falcons. Bad. We would have been so bad. And that's where our incompetent quarterback developing started to play a role. There will all, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. All right. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. For those that say Anthony Jennings and Brandon Harris were just awful quarterbacks, you could be right about that. They could have just been bad players. But how come Les Miles never had a quarterback that he recruited turn out to be good? How come that never happened? It never happened. Okay? You would expect at LSU, when you had the supporting cast, you go back and look at the mid 2000s, early 2010s, we had better offensive lines then than we had now. The system didn't work. Our system got too prehistoric, and our offensive, and this is what I was told. Offensive meetings were remedial. They were horrible. They were terrible. The offensive meetings that they would have. It would be so scattered. It would be a waste of everyone's time. So, is there an example of this? Here's a good example of it. So, tell me this. How many of you remember Trey Quinn? Who remembers Trey Quinn? All right, Josh. We'll see you Tuesday night, man. Does anyone in here remember Trey Quinn? Anyone? Okay. Also, do you remember Tyron Johnson? All right. So Trey Quinn was a high-level 4-star receiver. When Trey Quinn ended his high school career, he was the most decorated high school football receiver ever. He had broken every single record. Tyron Johnson was a 5-star wide receiver. Okay. Since 2011, LSU has never had a 5-star receiver bust. They've never had a 5-star in-state player bust, just be a total bust. So, Trey Quinn and Tyron Johnson transferred. Okay, so normally when you transfer from LSU, what's the problem? Well, the problem is that you're not good enough. More than likely, you're not good enough. You were beaten out by other players on the team. But not only did both of them transfer, they both are still in the NFL. Now, think about how long ago that was. That was the mid-2000s. Mid-2000s. That is an eternity to now. So they both graduated around. So Trey Quinn was class of 2014 and Tyron Johnson, I believe, was class of 2015. So that means they would have left around 2017, 2018, 2019, around there. So that means they would have had to last in the NFL for 3 seasons minimum. They're still in the NFL after transferring. So what does that mean? Well, it means it wasn't their fault that they weren't any good at LSU. The problem was the system. Now, if you remember when LSU played Alabama in 2014 at home, Trey Quinn played in that game as a true freshman, and he had a huge drop in that game. But he was a true freshman. And then he transferred because, he obviously didn't want to play in that system. He goes to SMU. He was ridiculous at SMU. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That both of them transferred. One was from the 2014 class. Another was from the 2015 class. They both had successful NFL careers. So the reason why it is so hard to bring that up is because, yes, those are just 2 players, but it shows you that it wasn't their fault and they were right to transfer. Because if they transferred, who's to say they never would have made it in the NFL? Now, here's the thing. Some Les Miles wide receivers do make it in the NFL. Ruben Randall, obviously Jarvis and Odell. But there was a lot of really talented receivers that played under Les Miles that you thought would have had long NFL careers. Early Doucette is one of them. Okay. In fact, Roger brought this up to me earlier. Roger's a huge Early Doucette fan. I just learned that Blessed is a huge LSU fan. Early Doucette fan. Well, I thought Early Doucette would have played a long time in the NFL. To me, the most underrated wide receiver in LSU recent history in the past 2 decades, a wide receiver we never talk about, is Terrence Tolliver. Terrence Tolliver was so huge for LSU. Wasn't just huge, he was really freaking good. Terrence Tolliver was really good at LSU. Do you know how many games he won with clutch catches? We talked so much about T-Bob's snap against Tennessee. T-Bob's a friend. I'm super happy he snapped that football with 1 second left. But did you know on that drive, Terrence Tolliver converted a 3rd and 9 and a 4th and 14 on the same drive? On that game-winning drive. Then the next week, he catches the game-winning touchdown against Florida. Then, to end the season, he goes for 3 touchdowns against Texas A&M. Terrence Tolliver was underrated. Ruben Randall, I think, gets proper rating. He made all SEC teams. He played in the NFL a long time. Malachi Dupree should have come back for another year. He made a really bad decision to go pro. And I don't just say that in retrospect. He had a lot of work to do on his game. I know, Britt. We had a few super chats come in. Ron, I think they were distant relatives, but I think they spell their last names differently. I don't remember. So in 2 straight weeks, Terrence Tolliver won us the game. And it wasn't just the game-winning touchdown against Florida. he caught that game-winning touchdown. Well, he caught a touchdown earlier in the game. And do you remember the corner that was defending him? Who was the corner? Was it? It was a really good corner. I think it was. It wasn't Janoris Jenkins, or was it? No, I don't think it was Janoris. Was it Janoris Jenkins? I don't know. But in that game, he lit up a corner that played in the NFL a long time. So, think about that. Think. And who are Terrence Tolliver's quarterbacks? Well, the only quarterbacks he ever got to play with were Jordan Jefferson and Jarrett Lee. And it wasn't that both of those guys weren't that good. They were both decent, but he was equally productive with both quarterbacks that played. So Terrence Tolliver, in all 3 seasons he played at LSU, never complained, never was the look at me guy, never blamed anyone else, but he never had a consistent quarterback. We could talk all we want about the greatness of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and all those guys. But part of the reason why those guys are SEC all-time great legends, well, they knew who was throwing them the football every single time. Terrence Tolliver didn't know who was throwing him the football drive by drive. Ruben Randall was unreal too. Ruben Randall was really good. Really, really good. Russell Shepard. What a guy. I was friends with Russell in college. What a guy. As a true freshman, Ahmad, yes. Oh, Britt, that sucks. That sucks, Britt. So that's the one thing about Jarvis Landry. So here's a cool Jarvis Landry story. So Jarvis, to me, the greatest. And look, when you talk about, like greatest offensive performances, I think you have to separate the 2019 team from all the other teams because that was just such a different team. It was a completely different offense with, Joe Burrow at quarterback. So if you're talking about like the greatest offensive performances in LSU history, the first wide receiver performance that comes to mind is obviously, Jamar. Jamar versus Clemson. LSU will never have a better single game performance than Jamar Chase going for 9 catches, 221 yards, and 2 TDs versus Clemson. It just won't ever be touched. However, the best single game offensive performance I've ever seen at LSU was Jarvis Landry versus Arkansas his final year. So that would have been 2013. He had like 7 catches. It was 100 yards. He had that crazy one-handed catch. But, Ron, I'll see you, man. So he had that crazy hit against Auburn on special teams, which was just nuts. But remember, against Arkansas, Zach Mettenberger was knocked out of the game because he had his knee wiped out. But, as you point out, Jarvis Landry called the game-winning play with Anthony Jennings. He caught, I think the first pass on the drive, and then Jarvis Landry called the play. Now, you hear it all the time that the quarterback makes the play call. The quarterback will make the play call late in the game or whatever. But how often have you ever heard a wide receiver calling the game-winning play? I mean, Jarvis Landry was just next level. He really was next level. And I think that game alone is why, I am an Odell fan still. As you see back here, this doll is an Odell. I have the Giants Bleacher Creature doll as well. But that game alone was, it's just unreal. That game was just unfreaking real. But yeah, Jarvis Landry called the game-winning play. The name of the play, I believe, was Tsunami. And the ball, it was Anthony Jennings who threw a perfect ball to Traven Durrell. And ironically, Traven Durrell, that was, I believe, I'm trying to remember, I believe that was his 7th catch of the year. He never had a multi-catch game that year. And then the next year, Traven Durrell was amazing. But yeah, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So I had an old college roommate named Ron G. That run was crazy, that OBJ run versus Kentucky. That Kentucky game was just so wild. I think that was peak 2019 LSU, 2011 LSU. That was their best, wow game. Terrence Edwards. Never heard of him. Cecil Collins. Pate, what it do? Well, all right, guys, we're at 3 hours. Doesn't look like any more super chats are floating in. TPVN, which one? He had 2 big ones. We got it. Oh, that one-handed kickoff catch. That was wild. That was so wild. that was so wild. Oh, that was so wild, man. That's just so crazy. TMC, my favorite. TM7, my favorite kick returning. That one was crazy. That was a wild, wild return. LSU was down 14-0 in that game. That was so wild. So LSU was down 14-0. Wait, hold on. I think my friend had his kid tonight. Let me see. TPVN joining the chat. All right, guys. We're going to wrap this up. Are there any more questions? Any more random LSU questions? The missed field goal return. That was great. The Odell catch versus Iowa was good, too, in the bowl game. That was great. OBJ's your favorite Tiger or Jarvis? Oh, TM7. Okay. Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, he's just so good. We were talking about him earlier. Man, it's just 2011. It's just so unreal. Next live chat, back on our regular schedule, Tuesday nights at 7. So we normally do Tuesday nights at 7 and Saturday nights at 7. But tomorrow, me and my girlfriend are making a Valentine's Day road trip to Shreveport, Louisiana. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah, Kyle, it's kind of tomato there. I mean, all right, guys. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. So, Tuesday night, 7 Central. And if you guys want to see the beginning of this live chat, it'll be ready in just a moment. If you go down in the description below, so if you scroll down, you can see all our latest videos. My honest thoughts on Mike Jones, my honest thoughts on Brian Thomas Jr. I also gave my 5 positives and 5 negatives for the 2021 recruiting class. So we talked about JoJo Earl, Rajon Davis, Kari G, guys that, decommitted and went elsewhere. So if you want to see that, that's down below as well. Okay. All right, guys. Time for me to eat some more Oreos. All right. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. Let's go.